Really, the most important thing for any Fuji X-T2 owner to learn, whether they do or do not have the vertical grip, is the correct way to specify to the camera. Since every advanced camera is like every advanced computer, they're all stupid. They need specific input from you to operate correctly. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with understanding mode and continuous settings and area. Also with the vertical grip, or even without the vertical grip, let's talk about boost mode, okay? What you're able to do is go into menu, settings, power management, and turn performance level to boost. And what that will do is it'll drop the blackout rate on your electronic viewfinder from 60 frames a second to 100 frames per second. And that also increases the strike ability of the camera when it comes to continuous autofocus acquisition for shooting in boost mode. And that is when shooting in a continuous high or continuous low. Now, what you need to do, as I told you in a prior video, is you need to hit the display back button, hold it down for a couple seconds, and you have the ability to set the priority to 8 different buttons to however or wherever you like. I have my autofocus custom settings set to one of my rocker buttons. I have my autofocus mode settings set to one of my rocker buttons, and I have my area set to one of my rocker buttons. Now, with the joystick, I can also do that, but I also have it set over here because it's all conveniently located right where I use it. My thumb's here already, then I have all my autofocus custom settings. While you're shooting too, obviously you can take your joystick and place it wherever you want for your continuous autofocus area. But in single mode, see, I was in single mode, go into autofocus. We have the ability in continuous mode, in zone mode, and single point. Let me go into single point. Here we have 326 autofocus selectable points with varying degrees of area. Okay, very important. So if we're going to do autofocus single, continuous, do a single shot photography in continuous autofocus, that's important. Okay. Also the size. Now, let's set that for the center there. Let's go over to mode. Single point, self-explanatory. Zone. Zone for moving objects, whether that's squirrels or bicyclists or skiers or motorcyclists, whatever you want. Right now we're in zone mode. Then we need to go into AFC, and you need to study this and understand what it means. What you're doing is you're telling the camera to be specific on what to focus on. Your AFC custom settings, multi-purpose, ignore obstacles and continue to track subjects like a bicyclist is going behind a garbage can or a lamppost. This actually does work. It is not a gimmick feature. Accelerating, decelerating subjects, suddenly appearing objects, erratically moving and decelerating objects, and a customizable one where you can actually customize it yourself. Now, what you need to understand is that you need to understand 4 things. You're going to have to learn this yourself. You're going to need to learn when to use the correct mode. You're going to need to learn to when and where to set the correct autofocus custom settings. And you're going to need to learn what size area you are going to set that autofocus continuous parameter. You're telling the camera, I only want you to focus in on this little zone when you're continuously autofocusing. Or I want you to focus in on this huge area. Okay? The more specific you are with the camera, the far better the results will be. And that means you have a higher keeper rate. In other words, the number of shots which come out with the correct autofocus that you desire for the subject that you're shooting that is moving, whether that's a puppy dog or a bicyclist or a motorcyclist or a horse, whatever it is you're shooting. You have to understand what sort of stuff it is you're shooting. Are you shooting a squirrel flitting around in a tree like it's on crack? Or are you shooting motorcycles or cars coming around the corner? I mean, obviously so. I'm going to set like a medium zone here. Say I'm shooting squirrels on crack. I'm going to go for erratically moving and accelerating objects. If I'm going to be shooting motorcycles coming around the corner, I'm going to choose AFC setting number 3. If I'm going to shoot a bicyclist with a bunch of other busy stuff going on, maybe in the foreground relative to the subject, I'm going to choose setting number 2. Multi-purpose, okay? Suddenly appearing objects, something is going to round the corner, it's going to track what immediately appears. We understand that now, okay? So you need to understand that you need to tell the camera how specific to be with both zone, with the AFC custom settings, and also with the area. And once you understand that, the camera will deliver to you what it is you actually want. And additionally so, by placing the camera into boost mode with your vertical grip, you're going to get 100 frames per second refresh rate. Trust me, once you slap a vertical grip on this camera, the refresh rate bumps to 100 frames per second, which is basically no blackout. But it does more than that. Because the refresh rate is so high, the camera's ability to strike out for autofocus tracking is improved. So you're not only increasing the flicker rate, but you're increasing the strike rate of the autofocus over a shorter period of time to hit in autofocus what it is that you're trying to shoot. So it does a double thing. It does not just change the flicker rate from 60 frames per second to 100 frames per second. So that's something else. You get the vertical grip on there, turn it over to boost, and then you have the ability to shoot 11 frames per second with mechanical shutter and 14 frames per second in continuous high on electronic shutter. Okay? Let's hope you made that clear, and study this and go out and practice with it for a day. It's okay. Go out to the park and fail with this camera. Okay? By fail, I mean, learning what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing. Every time someone gets a new camera, what they should do is go out someplace that they know they're not going to be, the shots aren't vital, and go out and fail. Fall face first with this camera, not literally, and fail as you learn, as I mentioned here, where it is you should be setting things for whatever it is you're shooting. So you're shooting cars, you're shooting squirrels on crack flitting through the trees like, they've had cups of coffee. If you know what it is you're shooting and you tell the camera, it's like, hey, I'm shooting squirrels on crack, the camera will know to track the squirrels on crack. If you tell the camera, hey, I'm shooting motorcycles, coming around the corner, then the camera can be set for that. There's an AFC custom set for that. All these important mode, custom settings, and area should actually be set for external buttons. Now, where you place them is your own business. I place them there. You place them wherever you're most comfortable to place them. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.